And on a Friday.
And on a Friday, that is correct. 9:35 here at Big 550 KTRS. We have got the board meeting is in session. Jane Duker, John Deal Jr., and Chad Garrison. What's going on with this Bosnian woman?
Well, this all comes out after this. Bosnian was attacked by the hammer in this savage homicide, and as we mentioned, I think on a board meeting a couple weeks ago, there was the Bosnians immediately were there was a lot of speculation within that community that this was a hate crime, that the Bosnians were targeted by these individuals who attacked them. And the St. Louis police right away came out and said, no, there's no evidence to suggest that.
This is with the hammer attack.
This is with the hammer attack, and this was simmering. And so this woman, this Bosnian woman, was it about a week later or something, said she was dragged out of her car and beaten and targeted, and the assailant said that are you Bosnian? Well, we should probably kill you then. And so she in effect created this story to back up the speculation within the Bosnian community that yes, they are being targeted by individuals in their own neighborhood. And it's sad, really.
Caught on camera. I mean,
the video shows of her literally lying down in the street.
Getting out of her car and laying on her street until somebody came and saw her, and then she could make the claim.
Right.
Which is just... It's so tragic because what happened in the Bosnian community, and there was another incident. I mean, that seemingly is not made up, but it just takes away from the horrible tragedy and and this community's grief. And it's just, and I know that it's only a misdemeanor to file a false police report, but they need to prosecute her, and they need to say we can't do this. Okay, things are really tense right now. We don't need false allegations. We have to take this stuff seriously. They're forced to investigate, and so we're taking resources away from things. I mean, we've got 151 murders now in the city of St. Louis, and we're taking resources away for this. I mean, she's obviously disturbed, but still, I mean, it's tragic, and I feel sorry for the community.
What about the fact that Sam Dodson came out and said this is a hate crime and we're going to investigate it, and this new idea of let's give the public as much information as soon as possible? Clearly, when he says this, he was incorrect. He was misinformed.
Right.
He then promotes the misinformed story, and now all of a sudden you have to 3 days later come back and backtrack it. It's a dangerous precedent to force the police to tell the public as much as possible as soon as possible.
That's flawed,
especially before you investigate.
Right. Well, but I can see where the police did this because they couldn't really keep this under their lid, because there were calls from the beginning that this is that the hammer attack was a hate crime.
Right.
And then this happens. This woman is out there. Assumedly she's broadcasting this as well, that she was attacked and it was a hate crime. And then at that point, I think the police had to say, yes, we are investigating this. This does have all the hallmarks of a hate crime. And I think it was actually the FBI that figured out that this woman was lying, as I recall her. Maybe it was the police, but they went back and found the videotape.
I mean, it's a surveillance video.
Yeah, but it's a dangerous precedent, though, to have the police there with the angry mob saying, no, this is everything we know, because you don't know.
Right.
You don't know. And again, this also leads to Witness 40, where here we're going to tell you everything we know, and then some crackpot says, I was there. Here's what happened, and then regurgitate what the police chief just said. And
McCullough said he's not going to prosecute anyone for perjury regarding the grand jury.
And that's the problem.
And I think that's unfortunate, too.
It's the same with here, is that the reason these things happen is because there are no consequences of doing it. This lady's no different than a Dorian Johnson, who
or
lied
Witness 40,
about what they saw and knowingly lied. Well, Witness 40 is mentally ill too, presumably. But you're right. I mean, it's until there are consequences and people are prosecuted and suffer the consequences of lying to investigators and lying to the courts, they're going to keep doing it.
Can you guys explain to me, two very smart lawyers, can you explain to me that taking a hammer to somebody is not a hate crime?
I have trouble with the issue
How is that
they've taken that off the table. I mean, I think that, again, the investigation may show different things, and I think that there may have been reasons why they came out to say this wasn't a hate crime.
They say I didn't know the story. So they say it doesn't qualify as a hate
well,
crime.
they've
or this
said that they didn't
incident
think
was
it was.
But
this
I
was-
Well, the
bash-
hammer is I mean, the weapon is inconsequential. I mean, that
Right.
doesn't matter. I mean, it's a homicide. It doesn't. I mean, it makes it horrible.
Right.
But no, what turns it into a hate crime is that it's for a reason, for somebody's ethnicity
But
or
that's-
somebody's
but why
race.
does that matter to
can
the
turn it
victim?
into
Right,
a
I
hate
mean,
But if
that's-
this guy was just shot by those teens, it would not
Well, I
be.
think-
I would think if you
necessarily-
probably just shot someone or beat him to death with a hammer, from
It's
the
a hate
perspective
crime.
of the victim, it's a hate crime.
Right. Why do
Yeah.
I care this person's hitting me with a hammer because I'm Bosnian or I'm white or I'm Italian or whatever? He's hitting me with a hammer. Do we really care why the person's hitting him
It's
with
a
a camera?
distraction.
And should he be charged and punished more because he did it only because I'm black or white or Italian or gay or straight?
Well, I mean, the analysis of whether this qualifies as a hate crime is different than the analysis of whether we separately charge people for hate crimes and have enhanced penalties for it. I mean, from a policy standpoint, I don't think having enhanced penalties because people are racist or sexist or whatever motive. If you kill somebody, you kill somebody, and I'm not sure that motive makes it more horrific of a crime.
Right.
I mean, but whether this was a hate crime. And maybe you use the term loosely, whether it was motivated by race, I'm not sure that the jury is, done with that, and so to speak. I think the fact that another Bosnian person was stopped previously for that, and that there was sort of a pattern, that doesn't mean that it in fact was, but I don't know that you can automatically rule it out. And I think that there's a lot of thought that we shouldn't dismiss it.
But why?
until-
But why should the person be punished more if he only went after the victim because he was Bosnian, as opposed to only went after him because he was just unfortunately standing there when I wanted to take a hammer?
No, I
at somebody?
agree with you on the policy standpoint that from a legal standpoint, you do not punish people more. But I do think it's relevant that if we're having additional race issues, it's something we have to deal with. I mean, I look at it from more of a policing and,
I understand the racial aspect of it, and you certainly don't want a race war going on.
Exactly.
And so it's important to find out the reason.
Yes.
But in terms of punishment,
I think
it's like a drug deal, 200 feet from a school. Who cares where the drug deal is?
Right.
If it's against the
if
law,
it's
it's against the
murder,
law.
it's intentional murder. If it's less than intentional,
Well,
second
yeah.
degree. If it's you know what I mean. I think the classifications we have sufficiently cover.
And the name itself is, all crimes are hate
Right.
crimes. They're not love
I'm
crimes.
sure everyone shot believes
Yeah.
it was hateful.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Gelmish and Sons.